By the way, an interesting fun fact is that we built a shake to report feature. It was an idea of one of our engineers, a very creative engineer, that suggested that to be closer to our customers and get feedback, we could build a feature where you literally shake your phone and it will pop up a form for you to give us feedback on, in this screen, I would like to have this button, or I would like to see this feature. And I think we got already more than 500 pieces of feedback like that. So we are using that data a lot to drive what comes next and what comes first.
Is that like shake it because you're annoyed at something not working? So you're shaking your phone because you're annoyed?
Yeah,
And
so you'll release your
yeah.
frustration at the same time that they give
I
feedback.
like that. That's good.
Alrighty, we are back today with João Neves, the co-founder and CTO of Bloop, which is a social shopping platform where you can earn by sharing the products you purchase and your honest opinions of them. And you can also discover new products that real people recommend. Before Bloop, João worked as a software engineer and engineering lead at Amazon and Farfetch. Farfetch being one of the big unicorns that came out of Portugal, one of the few. And today we'll be talking about how Bloop uses gamification and community mechanics to retain users and grow. So welcome, João.
Hello, Jason. Thanks for having me.
So let's get started with just a quick overview of your experience, how you went from Amazon and Farfetch to starting Bloop, and maybe any past experience you had before that's relevant.
Yeah, so I by destiny or not, but I spent the last 10 years in e-commerce, in the software engineering side of e-commerce businesses. Like you mentioned, I started in Farfetch, and I joined Farfetch, I believe, 2 years before the IPO. So I saw the interesting growth trajectory and how a company transforms as they become an unicorn and grow to an IPO, etc. And I left around 2 years after that, while Farfetch was still doing great. I started as a software engineer in Farfetch, and I became an engineering lead my last year there. So I was leading a team of 6 engineers in my last year at Farfetch, based in Porto. And then in 2020, in March 2020, in the beginning of the pandemic, while at the time we didn't know how big it was going to be, I moved to Madrid and I joined Amazon. And I moved back to being a software engineer and individual contributor. So I did this transition 2 times because in Farfetch, as I've grown in Farfetch, I was lucky with the opportunities and mentors I was given there, and the moment the company was going with, I was able to grow with it, and I was leading a team, and then went back to software engineer and did that transition inside of Amazon again. And this was all part of the plan. So maybe it could be interesting for your listeners as well. I felt that in a Farfetch had grown too fast because after 2 or 3 years of experience overall, I was already leading other people, most of them with a lot more experience than me as a software engineer. And while I learned that that's what I really like to do, to lead teams, lead people grow, help the product vision as well. I felt I was following that path too soon. So when the Amazon opportunity came up, I moved, I accepted, and I solidified myself as a software engineer for 2 or 3 years before doing the transition again instead of Amazon to engineering manager and leading teams of up to 12 people. And then I decided to start my own thing. So I had seen a scale up go through their IPO and being an unicorn. I had seen big tech. I spent 5 years in Amazon, and I thought it was the moment to try something of my own, and that's how I found Bloop.
Had you always had the idea of maybe starting something on your own, or was that something that came to mind only maybe later when you were already at Amazon? Or
It was something on the back of my mind, but I think it's one of those distant dreams you never actually end up pursuing. I was happy at Farfetch. I was happy at Amazon. Bloop came as an invite from Francisco, my co-founder and our CEO at Bloop, that needed someone to join him in this Bloop dream, building the vision he had from the technological operational side of things. And I saw it as the opportunity to actually follow that dream of creating something of my own and risking and trying to experience as well this entrepreneurship side of things. And that's how it happened.
How did you meet Francisco?
So he was, we didn't know each other before starting this. He was networking, looking for a co-founder, looking for a CTO. He contacted multiple people. Like Jason mentioned in the beginning, Farfetch is one of the 7 unicorns out of Portugal. And Portugal has a strong, I'm obviously biased here, but Portugal has a really strong talent pool, especially in technology and engineering. And so Francisco's strategy was, okay, I need someone to support me building potentially the next unicorn in e-commerce as well, or with some big parts of e-commerce. So he started looking for Farfetch or ex-Farfetchers. And he talked with multiple people. Some of them recommended me, so he reached out. We started talking. I loved the idea as well. We got along well, and we started working on it. And here we are, I think 2 years later almost.
I was about to ask, yeah. So it's been 2 years so far. Do you want to give the overview of like how you've gotten to where you are today with Bloop? Like, what how did it start? What have you guys done for the last 2 years? And what's the big picture of like what Bloop is trying to do?
Yeah, so Bloop is the first social shopping platform that rewards everyday users for their power of influence. So we believe that people that coffee shop question of where did you buy that jacket? Or hey guys, I'm looking for a new phone and my budget is 500 euros. What do you recommend nowadays? That doesn't happen in a digital world. Usually, what people do is they chat on WhatsApp, they Google for product reviews, they ask ChatGPT, but there is no direct digital version of the word of mouth power, and that's the problem that we saw and that we are closing. So Bloop is the first platform where you can see what your friends are shopping. You can follow the recommendations and buy the same product. And when you share your own purchases, we reward you, and there are no entry barriers. So you don't need to be a professional influencer. You don't need to have 100K followers. You don't need to have a special partnership with the brand. Um, you just need to buy anything you want, and then if you share what you bought with a picture, a video, and just some words about how your experience went, being it good or bad, we give you 10% back of your purchase. And then that post lives in our social network. If someone that follows you buys the same product through your post, you get 5% more for every person that does that. So we are rewarding the word of mouth. And so it's a win-win for everyone involved because the user gets a trust factor of social proof of the product they are buying. So our conversion rates are higher. And the return rates are lower because people already have some reference from what they are buying. From the seller side, the sellers that sell in our platform, they have a much lower customer acquisition cost because they get the benefit of this network effect, of this virality of people recommending to each other the products. And for Bloop, we have a platform that connects all of this. So we started building last year. We got our first fundraising last year, and we started building in June 2024. I don't know how much interesting the fundraising journey is, but I can share a bit on that. So we started with business angels that gave us the initial funding we needed to get started and get the first team together. Bloop is a complex project because it's both an e-commerce platform and a social network at the same time. So it's both B2B and B2C with a complex credits logic to manage all of these credit packs. So it's a complex business. So we needed a talented team to build this. And so that's the initial funding we got was for that. We started building in June. And then in around September, we thought that we could actually apply this Bloop vision of word of mouth and network effects to the fundraising as well. So we decided to do crowdfunding, but it was a bit of an atypical crowdfunding because we didn't do it in a public platform. We leverage our own networks, our word of mouth. So we shared on the team social networks on WhatsApp with ex-colleagues and friends. Hey, so as you know, I'm starting this new venture. It's called Bloop. It's a social shopping net. If you want to join us as an investor, we are doing this crowdfunding campaign with a minimum ticket of 1K. So this was more or less the messaging. And in 1 or 2 months, I think it didn't even reach the 2 months, we raised 400K out of 126 investors, which was completely unexpected. We were expecting much less. We did it kind of just to prove the point of the power of word of mouth. But yeah, so in total, so far from business angels and not crowdfunding, we raised 1.5 million, which is enough for us to build a platform, We launched 2 weeks ago, and I can tell you more about that in a second. But those 1.5 million was about enough to build the product and stay in the market for the end of 2025. So, which is what we expect is more than enough to gather some metrics, prove our model, and continue our growth journey. Our plan in 2026 is to expand into Spain and potentially other countries in Europe, like France, Germany, Italy. It will depend on how things go, which ones come first.
Question about the business model. So you mentioned the credits where if you buy something through a friend, then there's a 5% kickback to the friend. If you buy something and you share about it, then you get a 10% kickback. So those credits, those kickbacks, where do they come from? Does that come from you and your venture funding? Does that come from the companies whose products are being purchased? Like, where does that discount come from?
Yeah, so we completely changed the typical e-commerce business model. Usually in an e-commerce marketplace, the sellers are charged a commission per each sale, and that's the revenue of the marketplace. That is a revenue stream for Bloop as well, but it's definitely not the main one because we take those commissions and we give it back to the customers, and that's what the credit back, where the credit back comes from. So we believe that the customers are the ones that should get this reward because they were the ones that actually advertised the product and made the sale possible. So we take those commissions and we give it back to the customers when they share, when they actually share their recommendation and when they actually get some sales. But then we have other, and that's what keeps the model sustainable, right? So we can, like, let's say, take our hands off almost, and the platform itself will generate more sales because of the word of mouth. But then we have other revenue streams, of course. So we offer premium services to both users and sellers. For premium services like data insights, advertising, analytics, and some other extra features, benefit features. We are going to build also gamification, so you can have different levels of influence. Like so, Bloop is for everyone, and there are no entry barriers. But of course, that if you are a professional influencer, you will want a different set of features than if you are an everyday user. Also because you will be generating more credits, so you want to have where to spend them, you want to promote yourself, etc. So there are a bunch of other features we are building that are our main revenue streams. Yeah, I think I answered your question.
Yeah. So I think that brings me to the question of your MVP, your minimum viable product, and also more broadly, like you've described a lot of features and a lot of roadmap just already from the few minutes we've been talking. How do you prioritize that and decide like what to build first? How much stuff have you already built versus what's still on the roadmap? Like, just explain how you think about all that, because there's really a lot, sounds like.
Yeah, there is a lot. I think we have roadmap for the next 10 years just on ideas. And so we need to be very strict and focused in terms of prioritization of what we execute and go step by step. So we focus first on our MVP, and that's what we launched 2 weeks ago. On the core of the model. So there is no advertising, there is no, the data insights are just starting. There isn't much gamification yet or any kind of subscriptions. So what we focus on is people being able to buy, having a good catalog of products, people being able to post and get their credits and share their posts. So that's our MVP. That's the core of the model. Is you are able to share your recommendations and you are able to see what your friends are shopping and get rewarded for that word of mouth. That's what we built. That's what's ready. And now with the feedback we are getting from the customers as well. By the way, an interesting fun fact is that we built a shake to report feature. It was an idea of one of our engineers, a very creative engineer, that suggested to be closer to our customers and get feedback. We could build a feature where you literally shake your phone and it will pop up a form for you to give us feedback on, in this screen, I would like to have this button, or I would like to see this feature. And I think we got already more than 500 pieces of feedback like that. And that is really helping us guide and prioritize, like you were asking, what to build next and where are the main pain points, where should we invest more on? Is it the search? Is it the checkout experience? Is it the post? What is it? So we are using that data a lot to drive what comes next and what comes first.
Is that like shake it because you're annoyed at something not working? So you're shaking your phone because you're annoyed?
Yeah, so you'll release your frustration at the same time that you give feedback.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah, I think that's really important. We've talked about that on a prior episode about the importance of collecting feedback and building an early community with the initial users. And Bloop right now is still in closed beta, right? Only it's invite only. So
Exactly.
how have you approached building that initial community, like seeding the platform with the right first users and kind of managing them, collecting feedback from them? I mean, the Shake to leave feedback is a perfect example of this. Is like, how do you give them easy access to you so you know they can be incentivized to pass along feedback? But beyond that, like, how did you pick those initial users, and how are you kind of nurturing that?
Yeah. So we have around 300 users already. Um, Half of it came from the crowdfunding, like I mentioned before. So 126 investors. Of course, they have to be the first experimenting what they invested on. So those were part of this initial beta group. And the rest was from a waiting list that we have been building since last year as well. In our we had a landing page, we advertised it in social media. We also did a press release at the beginning of this year, which was also above our expectations. We were featured in 31 media articles in Tier 1 Portuguese media outlets. We got invited to some interviews. We are here in this podcast now. So that reach had the rest of the users subscribing to our waiting list in our landing page. And so they got the first invites to join. Our team as well, of course. And those were the first set of users, and now we'll keep adding more. And we are planning our marketing campaign as well, because right now we didn't do any marketing in the form of social media ads or influencers or anything like that. It was all organic. The press release was also like earned media. We shared the press release with media outlets and they picked it up. So it has been super successful so far, and it was intentional so that we can get this early feedback, creating this early community, making some adjustments, ensuring the product is good enough, our MVP is good enough to now invest into marketing and accelerate our growth.
So my understanding is that Bloop is pretty much the first app to attempt to merge social and shopping together into one experience. How does that influence the way you think about the product or the messaging or the growth, like anything like that?
Yeah, so we really need to think outside of the box because we are trying to really change the way e-commerce works. And so I think that there is an interesting saying, I think it's from Jeff Bezos from Amazon, actually, that which is like competitor driven versus customer obsessed. If you are competitor driven, you are always a follower. You are always going just repeat what the others already did. But if you want to be a leader, then you need to be customer obsessed. You need to be paying attention to competitors, but listening mostly and being obsessed about your customers. What do they want, right? So that's really what's driving the way we prioritize is what do the customers want to have in a platform, what do they miss, and that's how we go. That's how we go about it.
And how do you see like affiliate? Because the affiliate space is already quite mature. You see link in bio and all that kind of stuff all the time, all across all of the socials. So how do you think about that and kind of differentiating
Yeah.
between that?
So first of all, our incentives are much higher because 10% credit back just for posting. Imagine you buy an iPhone and it costs 1,000 euros. 10% of that is 100 just for making a post, and anyone can do it. You need to be a professional influencer. So the incentives are much higher than in a typical affiliate marketing where you need a lot of clicks or a lot of views to get some much smaller amounts. And then a lot of affiliate programs require that you already have some following. So there's an entry barrier. In Bloop, there's not. So I think that's how Bloop is innovating. Like we shared in our social media pages the other day the quote. I cannot remember who the quote is from, but innovation doesn't need to be about reinventing the wheel. It can be about changing the direction the wheel is going on, right? So we are not necessarily creating something completely new. We are joining multiple concepts in a unique way. So we are joining e-commerce with social, with affiliate marketing all together in a unique model, built from scratch, thinking about how can people get rewarded for their word of mouth and for everyone to be able to do so.
I think there's an important psychological difference too, because if you like to have a link in bio tool that's pointing, your followers to go and buy something, whatever, just purely psychologically, that looks like you're trying to like be an influencer. You know what I mean? Versus, I think the way Bloop is approaching it is it's more organic in the sense that it's like earn some money just by telling your friends what you think of the stuff that you buy. Like that doesn't sound like you're trying hard to like make it as an influencer. That sounds like you're just telling your friends what you like, and conveniently you're getting some kickback from it. So I think like that might be an underrated aspect of it, is that like psychologically it's a very different sort of thing, I think, the way people like view it.
100%. Yeah.
So let's talk about the actual e-commerce side. So how have you gotten your first suppliers to list products on Bloop, and how do you grow that? Because notoriously with the marketplace, and part of Bloop is the marketplace, the supply side is typically the hard part. Like how do you get enough supply so that when potential buyers walk in the door, like there's enough products to satisfy them?
Yeah. So again, that's another one of the areas where we needed a strong team. So our sales team comes from Portugal, from the biggest marketplace in Portugal. They were part of the founding team of Dot, which was the first generalistic marketplace in Portugal. That was, I think, 3 years later acquired by the biggest, by now the biggest marketplace in Portugal, and they stayed there for a couple more years. So they already had that experience of how to get sellers into a new marketplace, which really helped set up the process and provide a better seller experience. So that was one of the things, and the other was that we knew that we needed to treat sellers with the same customer obsession as we treat the final user. So they need to have a good experience as well when joining the platform. They need to feel supported. And so we partnered with a SaaS platform that's called Marketplacer, that provides that back office and a lot of those systems for sellers to be able to seamlessly join our platform. So if you have a Shopify store, for example, or a e-commerce store or other commerce engine, you can integrate with Bloop with a couple clicks. So it's really a simple experience, and you get all the orders in the same platform you are already operating at. So it's very simple. Or if you don't have any of that and you are a physical store that is managing things on a spreadsheet, that works as well. You can upload your spreadsheet with your products. Or if you are a very tech-savvy company, you can also integrate directly via API. We offer you a seller API that you can integrate with. So that flexibility really helps. And then our value proposition, I mean, I'm biased, but it's very easy to sell, because we charge the same average commissions as any other marketplace, which depend on the category, but we charge the same as the market average. And it's per sale. So if you don't sell anything, you're not actually losing any money, right? If you make a sale, we charge you the same commission of the other platforms where you are already selling at, with the big advantage that in Bloop, you get the benefit of the word of mouth, you get the virality. So when there is a purchase of a product, it doesn't end there. That person will be doing, technically free advertising for you. So it's a strong value proposition. You have nothing to lose, only to gain. And this, when it goes viral, your products will go viral as well. So we didn't struggle to get sellers. We have close to 100 sellers already. And we started hunting sellers this year, or not even that, in February, I believe. So,
is there any particular product area that you're focusing on, or are you going fairly broad and accepting, whatever comes in the door, basically?
Yeah, we need to. I mean, we don't refuse anyone, but yes, we need to prioritize and we need to have a strong strategy there. So we don't have that much data right now to know what to prioritize. We did do a market research with people in our target markets to understand what they would like to see, what is more common to share on social media as well. And the conclusions from that was that the main categories are fashion, beauty, and books. Being that kids is also a big part of the fashion, parents seem to be very interested in seeing what other parents are buying. So those are the main categories we are focusing on, because we think they align better with Bloop positioning. But we also have strong sellers in home and technology, for example. So, and this is important because we are a cross-platform marketplace where we give credits in the platform, so you should be able to buy whatever you want with those credits. You shouldn't be
Right.
limited to buy on a specific category, because maybe you don't buy a new smartphone every month, but maybe you buy some piece of clothing or some headset, or if you have all the categories, then people have a lot of options and are able to keep using the credits, keep sharing and seeing what is trendy or not. And then another innovation we have is that we have as well the services side, the experiences side. So you are also able to buy restaurants, hotels, spas, surf lessons, all in the same platform with the same credits.
And this is already built also, or this is
No,
roadmap for the future? Okay.
this is roadmap for 2 to 3 months from now, still this year.
Okay.
But it's a very different operation, logistically speaking. So
Right.
with the physical product, you have shipping. With an experiences you don't, but with experiences you have different things, which is, for example, the booking, reserving a specific point in time, while with the product it's about the shipping. So it's a very different operation, and so we decided to not spread ourselves too thin, and focus first on products, get that running, and then expand to experiences in a couple of months from now. But we expect experiences to be a very big area, because it's very it's very strong for social media content, right? So we expect to be something easy to share on the social network with friends.
Yeah, as far as the product areas and stuff, I imagine you can probably just see what are the types of products that are doing really well on TikTok, for example, like as far as like virality and piggyback on those. I hadn't thought about the parents angle, but now that I think about it, it's like parents kind of like freak out a lot about making sure they buy the right stuff for their kid. They're worried they're going to get it wrong or buy the wrong thing or whatever. So that's probably an interesting area. So as far as the social, because Bloop is a combination of an e-commerce marketplace, but also a social media network. How do you look at growing and retaining a user base on the social side and like encouraging people to? I mean, you have the reward for posting, so that's a big incentive. But as far as giving people the right tools to post the right kinds of content, like how do you approach that?
Yeah. So the core model of Bloop has a strong retention, in the sense that when you post, you get credits in the platform. So you need to use those credits in the platform. And you bring other users to the platform so they can follow your posts. So our core model already has a strong retention factor. But for that to be interesting, people need to have engagement on the social side of things as well. So it needs to be easy for them to share their posts with others on other social networks or on WhatsApp, or mention people, them on posts. Hey, I saw this post from Jason, Charlie. Maybe you want to give it a try. And the gamification will be an important factor as well. We already have in our posts like kind of a progress bar that shows how much credit back you got with this post. So creates kind of some healthy competition. You want to be the trendsetter for sneakers, or you want to be the trendsetter for watches, whatever. So people want to see how much credit back you already accumulated, and these kind of things. And then we are going to build kind of a trust factor as well. So if you say that this product was a 5 stars product, but then everyone that buys through you says it's a 1-star product, that inconsistency will give you a lower trust factor. So we'll get a lot of these metrics that you don't see anywhere else, that kind of gamify the experience, and make you build your own brands, which is an important aspect of this, and that's how we see Bloop growing. Because we also think that already happens every day. Like I have a friend I always ask about technology, and a different friend I ask about fashion. And probably his friends think the same, because some people have different tastes, and some people are really into fashion, others are really into tech. And so, okay, if I want to get the tech product and I have this friend, let me open Bloop and see what he's buying, right? So this friend will probably want to leverage that and build his brands, and maybe even becoming an influencer without realizing, right? So we need to build, this kind of thing.
How do you think about like the friends model versus the like followers model? Like the Facebook friends sort of model, where you friend some people and then within that group everything is kind of public, you can see what each other are buying and everything, versus the follower model, where it's more like you're following influencers or whatever, or people that you're interested in, like on Twitter or something like that. Can those coexist well, or is there tension between those two approaches?
I think they can coexist. So the way we have built it, it's more similar to the follower model that you described. So you have your followers in Bloop, and they get. So we have multiple feeds in Bloop, activity feeds with publications. You have like the For You feed where you see all the public posts from everyone, and then you have the Friends feed where you see only posts from people you follow. But we see that precisely in that way, like the people that you follow is what we call your friends, um, because Bloop was made thinking about the everyday user. Of course, that if you are a professional influencer and join Bloop, you will have thousands of followers, and you won't consider all of them your friends, but they will still be your followers. So I
Okay, I
think
see.
you have followers that can be your friends, and others that just like your trends.
So if I buy something on Bloop, I don't necessarily have to share it. If for example, I just want to keep it private, like I bought something that I don't want the whole world to know about, I can just buy something and not post about it, and that won't be broadcasted to my followers. Is that right? Or everything you buy is
No,
automatically shared?
no. Right now, when you post, everything is public.
But if I don't post, like if I just buy the product and
Yeah,
that's it.
you can. Yeah, it's not mandatory to post, of course, but you only get the reward if you post.
I mean, there's probably more we can talk about the gamification. I'd be interested to hear the kinds of things that you want to build. You listed a few things: streaks, badges, friend activity. How do you kind of think about all those things fitting together?
Yeah, so the badges, I already mentioned some ideas of like getting an award when you reach X number of credit back or X number of followers or X number of recommendations that happen. You can get different badges, etc., and you can use that as well to drive engagement and kind of some healthy competition. Um, and the streaks will be similar. Like you can have streaks on the post. Like this post got X amount of recommendations, or X number of views in a row, or every day there's X number of people seeing it. So those are the features we are going to start adding now to increase the engagement of the platform. And then potentially in the future, we'll also give extra credits depending on those actions after a certain level of awards. We need to set what's the right threshold for those. But that's also something in the roadmap to increase that gamification, right? When you reach to higher levels, you also start getting extra rewards. So you keep playing the game.
And I imagine a lot of gamification in the context of a mobile app like this is going to be around the little things, like the little micro interactions in the app. Maybe like an animation pops up when you've got you got a new badge, or when when you've gotten your first referral credits, for example. Like you could show something in the app, and when you tap the notification, that's like something comes up. It's a fun animation. It says congrats. I think these sorts of small things are probably really important when it comes to the gamification side.
Yeah.
I remember my question from the social side. So this is a big one, which is how have you actually designed the social experience? Is this video first like TikTok? Does this look like reviews on Yelp? Does this look like tweets? Does this look how is Bloop currently designed?
It's a completely new experience because it's a seamless experience between e-commerce and social, and I think there isn't a single screen or point of the app where it's absolutely social or absolutely commerce. So when you go to our social feed that I was telling you about, you get different tabs. Because I mentioned the For You, I mentioned the Friends, but we also have specific feeds for your interests. So when you join the application, you can select your interests and you can edit them later, of course. And by interests, I mean men clothing or kids clothing or sports. And so let's say I selected men clothing and sports. In my main page, in my social side, let's say in my social feed, I will see those tabs. I'll see the For You, the Friends, the Sports, and the Men Clothing. And in Sports and Men Clothing, I see only publications about sports or only publications about men clothing because that's what I'm into. And those are commerce categories. They are social feeds oriented to that commerce category. And then on the social feed, what you see is multiple publications of your friends or of people you follow or public posts. And each publication is also a product. So each publication is the picture or video or multiple pictures or multiple videos, because we also support carousels of that user, what they posted about their product. But it's also a product because that same content has a thumbnail with the product image from the
Right.
seller. and you can just click it and buy it. You can add to the cart directly from the post. So that post is also, it's a social content, but it's also the product itself, because you can just go there, click and buy it. Or if you want more details, you click on that post and it opens the product detail page with a big difference, which is on a traditional e-commerce platform. People already know more or less how product detail page is. You get a picture on the left side, the price on the right side, a button to add to cart, some description, and then you can select the size or color as well of what you are buying. Bloop is also changing that. So when you click on these posts, you go to the product detail page, yes, but the main product detail page is a feed of publications of only that product. So you not only see the post that you clicked on, but if you keep scrolling, you will see posts of other people about the same product, and you can add to cart at any point you want when you are convinced. But of course, you also have the details there if you want to see other colors or other sizes. It's intuitive. It's clicking a button and all the options show up as well.
So as far as the posts themselves, it sounds like image or video carousels are the primary. Is there also the option for just text if you want to just write text, or do you have to have some sort of image or video?
You need to have media. You need to have media.
That was interesting. So how did you come to that decision? Because I assume that makes a fairly big impact, right? It requiring some sort of real media versus just allowing text.
Yeah. So we thought that it's important for the platform to be visual, and usually when you buy an e-commerce platform, the pictures you see are pictures from the seller with some high quality and care, and we wanted to have an authentic feel to the Bloop experience, because we want to see real purchases. You can only post in Bloop if you actually bought the product, right? So we want to disrupt a bit that's more polished content. We want the real thing, the authentic thing of the everyday person, and you need to visualize it. You need to have a picture, a video. You add text as well, but you need to have a picture or a video. Where we'll still need to continue exploring is that we didn't know is this going to be a more picture platform or a more video platform? Should we make this all about reels or shorts, which is now trending in YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok? Or should it all be about pictures and carousels? So we support both. We'll let the customer choose. We'll see what's more used, what people like the most, and then we'll probably have special formats for that, so that you can see only the videos, or you can short form videos, or actually people are looking to make bigger form videos, like a 5 minutes unboxing video. And we'll start adapting the UX also to be better suited for each kind of content option. Right now is the feed where we support all of them, and we'll see what works the best. We are experimenting to keep evolving on that.
Just made me think of there's a startup called Bite Site. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're like food.
Can you repeat?
Bite Site. It's like food delivery as a social experience. So they're doing, like, you can order food based on TikTok reels and whatever that people have shared in the platform. So it's kind of similar, but again, like they've obviously chosen video as their main content. But yeah, interesting. Just wondered if you'd heard of it.
No, I'll look into it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's basically a subset, right, of what they're doing. It's like Bloop, but only focused on food delivery and none of the other product types.
When you're talking about making it feel authentic with the images, it made me think of like Airbnb, when they had people creating images of their own spaces and they were awful and nobody wanted to stay there. So how do you like get people to create nice images so that then people actually buy the products?
Yeah, that's a good analogy that we sometimes make it kind of as a joke, but not really. We say that we are for traditional e-commerce what Airbnb was for hotels, in the sense that before you would book a stay in a hotel or in a more, let's say, not necessarily professional, but on a bigger chain, etc. With Airbnb, everyone was able to now rent their room. Right, so they democratize the market, and that's how we see what we are doing. We are democratizing e-commerce. We are opening the door for everyone to be able to benefit from this word of mouth influence. So everyone can be, let's say, an influencer in some sense, even if it's just to their close friends and network, like I was saying before. How do we ensure the quality? I think it's the same way that Airbnb does. That if you have, we believe on authenticity, but in the end you can share whatever you want. But will that give you results, right? So we let the platform be free, and people will experiment and see what format works the best, what gets me more referrals so that I can earn more credits. Is it an authentic picture outdoors with this t-shirt, or is it indoors? Does it work different things for different categories? I think that will be the fun side of Bloop for the customers to try different things and see what works and what gives them the most credits. We just need to give them the tools to do so.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's kind of the same with Instagram, I guess, filters, and they give you the tools to create nice looking images, and then the platform kind of decides what's best naturally.
Exactly.
Cool. Makes sense.
Plus, I think there's some tolerance for unpolished images, because like when I go look at images for a product I'm thinking about buying, usually I'm going there because I want to see the unpolished images. Like I've already seen the polished ones; they're the ones that the seller has provided, but I want to see now how does this really look? Like when I went to buy a TV or something, it's like, how does this TV actually look in someone's like messy living room versus how it looks super nice in the picture with the white background and a bunch of Photoshop editing. So I just think there's some tolerance there for that. All right, so let's talk growth. You've already told us about where Bloop is at now. What's the approach to growth going forward? It sounds like you're going to be starting to apply some more gas once now that you're getting out of the private stage and starting to expand. So what's the approach there? How are you guys looking at growth?
Yeah. So we are going to have three main channels where we'll focus on to bring more users to the platform now that we find stability and we are confident we can scale this. So the three channels are influencers, social media ads, and then organic content, right? So on the influencer side, which I think it's a key one given Bloop model, we are going to focus on nano and micro influencers because this is like people with less than 10K followers, but a bigger number of them, because we think that aligns better with Bloop. And I think that's an important aspect all B2C apps should have in mind. What works best for your customer, what works best for your product. In the case of Bloop, we think that it's a larger number of people, but with like if Bloop is for everyone, then the majority of people will not be a professional influencer, right? So the best way to kick off that, we have features and we welcome macro influencers, but the best way to get it started was with a bigger number of micro influencers. Also because from a data-driven perspective, usually the micro influencers have a bigger engagement rate with their communities. They are closer to their communities. So all of that is super aligned with the way Bloop works and the way we see this, the way we build the platform. So we are going to kick off with 200 nano and micro influencers 2 weeks from now. And again, word of mouth, network effect. So the campaign will be based on a member get member. So to be able to join Bloop, these 200 influencers will have a next number of invites each. And so you'll only be able to access Bloop if you follow that influencer. They'll be making a post with invites, and you need to be the first. They will have a limited number of invites, so you need to be the first ones to get it in time. And if you don't get it in time, then you join a waiting list, and you'll be able to join later, of course. But it's a way to keep this community growing word by word. So the influencers will be the first ones to join, and then the social media ads. It's another set of invites that you can, and we'll be doing A/B testing, which I think is an important aspect as well, trying different kinds of ads, different formats, and then we open the platform fully.
So do you have you planned already when you want to open the platform fully, or does that depend on how the process goes of running the ads and doing the influencer marketing and stuff? Are you just gonna feel it out based on how things are going?
It's hard to set it in stone because there are a lot of variables here. We do have our estimations and our goals, but we'll need to keep a close eye, and we have a strong data-driven approach. So we collect metrics on what's happening in the platform as well, like number of orders, number of posts, average order value, which categories are getting the more posts or not, which categories are getting the biggest referrals, etc. So depending on how this goes, we might open it earlier or later. Also depends if we find anything that we find is critical and that could block our growth. or limit our growth, we will also fix it first before opening it completely. So we don't expect to be in this invite only for more than 1 month, 2 max. But we don't want to publicly commit with a specific date because it's something we'll
Right.
need to be monitoring and seeing how it goes.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the right approach because you don't want to. Because like going public is you can't really do it over. Like you can kind of try to relaunch something later, but it's hard to kind of redo something like that. So best to wait until you're sure that everything's in place, right?
It's better to go slow to go big than than to try to go big too fast and then just fail short.
Yeah. For those influencers, what's the approach for getting in contact with them and like getting them to agree to take part in that? Because like I've with my business, I've done some influencer stuff, and sometimes it's tricky. The nano influencers, sometimes they're not so responsive to email and stuff because this is not like what they do, as their profession. Like, how do you guys look at that? How are you going to build that network, or have you already built that network of influencers?
Yeah, so our head of marketing has more than 20 years experience in startups, launching them across different markets, regions, and has experience with influencers as well. So we understood with her guidance very early that reaching out to influencers directly by us would be a huge amount of work and coordinating all of them, especially considering that we are aiming at at least 200 influencers. So we partnered with an agency that already has that network built for us. And so we aligned with them on what's the strategy we want to do. This member get member, this invites mechanism I was telling you about, with rewards, by the way. So if you join the platform with an invite, we already start with some early credits as a welcome gift. So we align on that strategy with them, and they already have the network of influencers that they are used to work with. And so now they are helping us kind of select from all of their network who are the right 200 nano influencers across all categories that we sell that align the best with Bloop brand, with Bloop vision. So if you can, for anyone trying to do something similar, if you can, I really encourage to try to get an agency to help you because it will really accelerate things because they already have that network, those processes built.
I think that about wraps then. Is there anything else, Ron, that you want to chat about before we wrap up?
No, I hope I was able to provide value to your listeners.
Yeah, I think Bloop is a really unique case primarily because of how much you guys are doing all at the same time. Like you have to be a marketplace, you need to be a social media app, you need to do influencer marketing, you need to do affiliate. It's like you're doing pretty much everything in one business. So I think that's the biggest thing that people will get out of it is like how to manage more complex businesses. Because I think a lot of time on podcasts you hear people who talk about very specific types of businesses. There's a very specific playbook, but then there's this whole other category that's trying to mix and match different things from different places, and it just gets a lot messier and a lot more crazy. So I think what you've spoken about, I think, helps a lot with people in that camp, like building that kind of business.
Yeah, we definitely shows probably the biggest business. I mean, not the biggest business in the world, but one of the biggest for sure. Because a social network itself, because it's complex from all perspectives, right? Like I'm Bloop CTO, and as co-founder, I'm involved in I think in all of the other decisions as well. But it's complex not only from a technical perspective, it's complex from an operational perspective, financial perspective, the marketing perspective. Like the way you sell it to a seller is not the same way you get users. And then we also have the fundraising side. It's also not the same way you sell it to an investor, right? So yeah, it has B2B, it has B2C. It's still a startup, so we need to also fundraise and handle building a business from scratch and all the financials associated with that, managing people, because we are already a 16 persons in the team because we needed to be able to manage all of this. So I think we are a very atypical startup in that sense because we are really building a very complex business with a business model that is based on network effects and virality. So I think nowadays is very trendy, and I understand it, and I think it's the right thing, and it's aligned with the macroeconomical situation right now, which is let's bootstrap, let's test, let's go slow, let's go customer by customer, let's avoid fundraising, etc. And I'm all for that. But I don't think it works in these business models like Bloop, where it's on virality. So either you have the operational customer support, the infrastructure you need to be able to scale with that network effect virality, or you will die from success. If you don't have the capital to sustain it, if you don't have the team to sustain it. So I think for a large amount of businesses, nowadays the bootstrapping might be the best way to go in a more sustainable way. But there are still these network effect businesses where you need to aim a bit bigger and riskier. And that's also the biggest, I think, challenge with a project like this.
Definitely. Alrighty. I think that about wraps up. Thanks, João, for joining us today.
Thanks for the invite. Thanks for having me here. It was great to contribute to your podcast and to share more about Bloop.
Awesome. Thanks.